All right, let's just jump right in with a question. What if you had to live your life over and over and over again for all of eternity? It's a heavy thought, right? Well, today we're going to tackle a philosophical challenge that forces us to stare that question right in the face. And in doing so, it just might show us a way to create our own meaning in a world that feels like it's lost its way.
So let's start with this bombshell of a statement. Now, this isn't about theology. Not really. God is dead is more like a cultural diagnosis. You see, for centuries, the whole idea of God was the bedrock for everything. Morality, purpose, truth, you name it. In this statement, it's basically declaring that that bedrock has completely crumbled.
So, Section 1, the murder of God, the collapse of universal truth. And get this, the idea is that we're the ones who did it. As we got smarter with science and reason, we kind of dismantled all those old certainties. So now, without that big external anchor, we're left to some pretty tough questions. If there's no divine rule book, how do we have any idea what's right or wrong? What's the point of it?
The image used to describe this is, well, it's pretty stark. It's like we've unchained our entire planet from its sun. Just cut the cord and cast ourselves out into the cold, empty darkness of space. All the stars we used to use to navigate by, they're just gone.
And the consequences are described with this terrifying, almost cosmic language. It feels like we're plunging in every direction at once. There's no up, there's no down anymore. The entire horizon has been wiped clean. This isn't just, feeling a little lost. This is a total collapse of our moral compass. We're just straying through an infinite nothing.
And this free fall, this feeling of complete meaninglessness, it's got a name: nihilism. And it's a terrifying thought because it leads to the conclusion that if there's no ultimate truth out there, then maybe nothing really matters. All our ambitions, our loves, our struggles, are they all just distractions in a fundamentally empty universe?
So, Section 2, the camel's great weight. Now we get to the parable of the eternal hourglass. How in the world do we escape this void? Well, the philosophy we're digging into doesn't just hand you an easy answer. No. Instead, it throws down a challenge, a thought experiment that is designed to test the very core of your will to live.
Okay, so picture this. A demon appears before you, and it tells you that this life you're living, with every single high and every single low, every boring Tuesday and every moment of pure joy, you're gonna live it again and again, an infinite number of times. Suddenly, your life isn't a story with a beginning and an end. It's a loop. And the question is that loop a gift or is it a curse?
For the first stage of the spirit, which is called the camel, this idea is the greatest weight you could possibly imagine. The instant reaction is just sheer horror, an eternal damnation. But why? Well, because the thought of repeating a life that you haven't truly lived, that's a special kind of hell.
See, the horror isn't the repetition itself. It's the sudden gut punch of a realization that the life being repeated is, mediocre, fearful. The camel is the part of us that just carries the burdens given to us, all those unconditional duties from society, from tradition, and never asks why. It just obeys because it's afraid of the freedom to choose its own path. And a life like that, it's not worth living once, let alone for eternity.
But here's the crucial part. That despair isn't the end of the story. It's actually the beginning. It's the fire that starts a profound transformation, a metamorphosis of the spirit that happens in 3 stages. We go from the burdened camel to the defiant lion and finally to the creative child.
Which brings us to Section 3, the lion's holy rebellion, or roaring no to the past. At some point, the spirit just can't take it anymore. It can't bear the weight of a life it wouldn't choose to live again. That crushing realization, it sparks a full-blown rebellion. The passive camel sheds its skin and becomes something else entirely, a fierce, defiant lion. So the lion looks that demon and that eternal hourglass right in the eye, and with every fiber of its being, it roars a holy no. And this isn't just anger. It's a sacred act of rebellion. It's a vow to smash all the comfortable lies, to reject conformity, to burn down the old, empty values that led to that mediocre life. It's a promise to finally create a life you could say yes to.
So, Section 4, the child's joyful yes, the birth of a creator. But here's the catch. Pure rage, just saying no to everything, that's not enough to build something new, is it? Tearing down the old world doesn't automatically create a better one. And that leads us to the final and maybe the most powerful transformation of all.
And the shift in perspective here is just fundamental. The lion's power comes from opposition, from its holy no. But the child's power, it comes from creation, from a holy yes. The spirit evolves from being a warrior that's defined by what it destroys into a creator, a player, that's defined by what it joyfully builds.
The child looks at that same demon, that same hourglass that terrified the camel, and doesn't see a curse at all. It sees the greatest opportunity imaginable. It doesn't fear the hourglass. It wants to play with the sand inside. And that's the whole goal, right there, to live every single moment as a deliberate, joyful act of creation, to build new kingdoms in the here and now.
This ultimate state of being, this joyful affirmation of everything, has a name, amor fati, which means love of one's fate. It's the will to look at your entire life, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the painful, and not just accept it, but to actively embrace it, to want nothing to be different, because every single second made you who you are. Now that is the mindset that can look at eternal recurrence and say, yes.
And that brings us to our final section, the ultimate test. We've come full circle, haven't we? We started with the death of God, which left this giant void, this crisis of meaning. But this whole journey of transformation, well, it's given us the tools to finally fill that void ourselves.
That emptiness left by the death of God was never meant to be a permanent abyss. It's a challenge, an invitation. The ultimate challenge is to stop being a servant to old duties and to become the master of your own purpose. In a universe that no longer has a divine creator, the task falls to you to become a creator yourself.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. This isn't some abstract philosophical puzzle. It is a direct personal challenge. The demon is holding the hourglass right now, in front of you. So what's your answer? Will you gnash your teeth in despair at the thought of repeating it all? Or, having created a life of your own choosing, will you shout back with joy once more?